Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Hey mama, if you are a mom and are tired of the wash, rinse, repeat burnout cycle of motherhood, this podcast is for you. If you feel lonely and isolated in your motherhood journey, this podcast is for you. If you feel like you have completely lost your identity since your babies were born, this podcast is for you. If you feel like every other mom has it together except for you, this podcast is for you. My name is Amanda, and I'm a life coach dedicated to teaching every mom the tools she needs to liberate herself off the back burner. I am living proof that a woman can be present and loving to her kids while also being a whole-ass person outside of being that kid's mom. The secret? Learning when to say fuck it. Hello, mamas. So, as I promised, no makeup and a hoodie. Told you that was not going to last long. Today is a snow day. I live in Wisconsin, which I think I mentioned. I don't remember. But I remember when my oldest, who is now 12, was in kindergarten and first grade, we got a dumping of like 7 or 9 inches of snow overnight. And the schools did not call a snow day. They just did a 2-hour delay. They were like, all right, school's going to start 2 hours later. Get your shit together and then figure out how to get your kid to school. Because Wisconsin don't give a shit about no snow. But now Wisconsin's a bunch of pussies. Like we had an expected winter storm with like 7 inches overnight. And they called school. They called it last night. And guess what? Not 7 inches of snow. I didn't measure it, but that shit is not 7 inches. My kids could have gone to school today. I could have been wearing more than a hoodie today. But this is the day that I have been dealt. And maybe this is a day that you too have been dealt or are going to get dealt, later down the road, because it just happens. We're stuck with our kids for no reason because the school just doesn't want to take them anymore. And we have to deal with it. But I'm still showing up, still here. It is quiet because I dumped them off at their dad's for a few hours so I could get some recording done. Otherwise, I would have had to bribe them with candy or tablets or all the above, and you would have just heard all the chaos in the background, which is going to happen one day, okay? Because real life. But, excuse me, still recovering. I have this daily calendar that one of my best friends got me for my birthday this year. And each day has either like an inspirational quote or like a little challenge or something, like a happiness challenge. But today's quote literally just like stopped me in my tracks because it was so good. And then I ended up writing an entire podcast episode about it. So thank you, Adrian, for this podcast episode. It's inspired by that calendar you gave me. The quote is by George Eliot, and it says, "It is never too late to be what you might have been." Oh, if that doesn't just like immediately sink so deep into your soul, it's because you weren't listening to me. So I'm going to say it again. It is never too late to be what you might have been. That is like every midlife crisis summed up in a 12-word sentence. How is that possible? I mean, it's so good because we all struggle with this, right? I remember when I first became a mom, I was struggling. No, it wasn't when I first became a mom because I was already, whatever. Anyways, I already had 2 kids at that point. But I remember this very acute moment when I really, really, really missed theater because I was a theater major in college and I dropped out. And then I was a stay-at-home mom. And I just missed it. It ached in every bone of my body, because there's just always something that we're giving up. Always something that we're moving away from, or, we do the thing that we should do instead of the thing that we actually want to do. We have to become responsible adults. And that means living by the formula, right? Because we're just fed this bullshit formula that's supposed to magically turn us into adults. And it's just absolute garbage. And it works for, I don't even know if it works for anybody. It might work for a small percentage though, because I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know every single person on the planet. Maybe it does work for some people, and for those people, it's great. But for so many of us, it doesn't work, right? And it just leaves us with this ache inside of just knowing that something is missing. And I made this, I made a little outline quick of America's formulaic way of looking at life. So it starts with childhood, ages 0 to 11. This is the only time when we are allowed to let our desires lead, to value fun over productivity, and to create instead of produce. This is why we all miss being children. Because it was the only time when we were allowed to be ourselves, except for when our parents were reining us in. But it's why every child sings and every child dances and every child draws. You don't have to teach a kid to want to do those things. We're all born with this innate creativity. And then society slowly strips us of it and we become adults. And most of us are not artists anymore, because we lost that ability to create again. And then we move into adolescent, ages 12 to 17. Now it's time to grow up. If you aren't able to keep to a schedule, sit still in classes for 7 hours and come up with a plan for your adult life, and you need to get prepared for college now, because you need to show them that you're serious. You have to think about what you want to do now, so that way you can take the right classes and the right extracurriculars, so that way colleges know that you are here to play. And if you can't do all of that, then there's something wrong with you. You need intervention and discipline and maybe some medication. Right? And then you have young adult, ages 18 to 22. Go to college. Period. End of story. You have to go to college. You can't make a life for yourself unless you go to college. Yes, you're going to get into debt, but it's fine because everyone does that. And college is what's going to give you a job that will help you pay off that debt. So don't even worry about it. But if you don't go to college, you're failing. Automatically, you're starting adulthood just fucking a failure. And you can get wild and drink too much alcohol and go to parties, but you have to keep all your grades up. Otherwise, you're a failure. Also, if you're a female, you can't actually get caught leaving a guy's room in the morning, because walk of shame. We actually use this terminology, walk of shame. Why is it shameful? Why is it shameful to go home in the morning? It's bullshit. And if you get pregnant, slut. Excuse me. And then we move into adult. Not a young adult anymore. You are 23. 23 to 30, you are an adult. You have to graduate with at least a bachelor's degree. Gifted fifth graders can probably get an associate's degree, so don't even bother putting that in your resume. It'll be embarrassing. And finish school on time. You get overwhelmed and you need a break. What? What's wrong with you? Why can't you keep up? And then you got to get a job and hustle until you've made it. What is made it? What is the definition of that? Here's my definition of made it. Not my definition. Sorry. This is my interpretation of the world's definition of made it. It's an elusive adjective, meaning a phase of life that we all aspire to because someone said we needed to. We think it has to do with earning a certain amount of money, owning your own house and car, and not being on your parents' Verizon, Netflix, and Disney Plus plans anymore. Pretty sure that's the definition of made it. If you aren't willing to work 40 plus hours a week, there's something wrong with you. If you discover that you don't actually like the career you chose when you were 14, suck it up, buttercup. You probably just don't like it because it's hard. You must be lazy. Hustle until you like it. It's too late to change course. Besides, you can't afford to go back to college as you're still paying off your student loans from your first go around. And we also have to figure out how to date around during this phase because we need to get married before we're 30. Otherwise, we risk a lot of people asking us why we're not married yet. What's wrong with us? Don't we want a family? Tick, tick. Like, what if you don't want to have kids? Or what if you just enjoy your own company? Ew, you're weird. Social outcast. Then we make it to the final stage, super adult, ages 30 to 70. You've officially made it. You have a great career, a house, a car, a life partner, some kids. Wait, you don't have kids? When are you going to have kids? Biological clock. Let's go. Why did you wait so long? And now this is it. This is your life. Do it on repeat until it's time for retirement, which is now age 70 because the United States government doesn't want to pay us the Social Security we've been paying into our whole lives until we're 70. So you got to wait till you're 70. But then you can retire and finally do all of the things that you actually want to do with your life. But if you struggle with any of this, or if you ever get bored, or you just feel like you're full of regrets, it's normal. It's fine, because everyone feels that way. It's just the way that it is. We're all taught this bullshit plan by our parents, our teachers at school, the media we consume, the stories we read, and the stories we hear from other people in our lives. The subconscious thought that is planted inside of every single one of us is, this is just what we do. Right? But if this were the ultimate success formula for everyone's life, then why is the end so often filled with regret? Why is the middle part filled with such longing for something more? Logically speaking, it's mostly impossible for two different people to manufacture the same struggle within themselves, the same delusion or the same invisible sickness, right? So if two or more people have identical struggles, we must then acknowledge an outside source causing the affliction. This is how we can tell if someone is making themselves sick or if there's a virus that's causing fucking everybody to get sick. When our culture at large all suffers with an ache inside because we all feel that our lives are missing something, when the majority of us lie on our deathbeds full of regret of the things we never did, when every mom is living in burnout and lost identity and tossed away dreams, we need to acknowledge that there is an outside source causing our affliction instead of continuing to believe that there is something wrong with us. It is never too late to be what you might have been. If you are hearing this and you're 80 years old, haunted by the ghost of the time that has passed, it is not too late. If you are hearing this and you're 45 years old, wondering what to do with your life now that it does not revolve around your kids, it is not too late. If you are hearing this and you are 26 and crying on your bathroom floor because the baby and toddler are finally asleep and this is the first moment you've had to yourself in 12 hours and you really miss the intellectual thrill of your job, but then feel guilty for not wanting to stay home with your kids, it is not too late. Y'all, I have gone from being a theater major in college to dropping out and starting my own cupcake business to closing that business to being a married stay-at-home mom to becoming a divorced single mom to becoming a college student again, but this time majoring in accounting, to dropping out of school again, to bunking up with family to avoid homelessness, to getting a job as a bookkeeper, to getting promoted to accountant, to quitting that job in order to launch this business as a life coach. Just looking at my journey on paper, most people would decide I am a failure. But I believe that failure is not determined by how productive you've been for someone else, but rather by the lack of growth as a person. I'm going to say it again. Failure is not determined by how productive you have been for someone else, but rather by the lack of growth as a person. I have chosen to say, fuck this formula. It is not working for me. And my result is growth beyond what I could have ever imagined. Back when I was married and a stay-at-home mom and a big old house and everything looked right, I was dying inside. I was constantly depressed, overwhelmed, anxious, and just completely lost. It didn't feel good living in my body in that life. But now, as I sit here, single, living on a very small nest egg, running my own business that has not yet turned a profit, and my too small rented townhouse, I feel the most alive I have ever felt. I love myself. I love my life. I know exactly who I am and what I want and what I'm here to do. It feels amazing to live this life that I am intentionally creating in this body that I am intentionally loving. Our formula sucks. Maybe it works for a small percentage of people, like I said at the beginning, and that's great for them. But for the rest of us, may we give ourselves the permission to say, fuck it. May we give ourselves the permission to listen to our inner knowing instead of this sucky formula. May we give ourselves the permission to start something new whenever we want to. May we believe that no matter how old we are, it is never, ever too late. Are you living your best, wild one life? You're not? Why the fuck not? What are you waiting for? The time to live is now, mama. Click the link in my show notes to set up your free 30-minute coaching and consultation so you can experience how life coaching can change your life. You've put yourself off long enough. It's time to pour into you. Join the community of Fuck It Moms by following me on Instagram and Facebook at Fuck It Mothering. That's fuck without the U. So FCK It Mothering. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you never miss your weekly encouragement. And please rate, review, comment, and share. All of these things help with the algorithms so that way when other overwhelmed moms are looking for encouragement, they can find me. Every month, I give away one of my favorite books to a lucky winner. All you have to do to enter is write a review or tag me in social media when you share an episode. See you next Sunday, gorgeous.